Loaded, and I'm very happy to welcome back to Locked and Loaded Mr. Kenny Smith. Kenny is the chairman of the Homeland Party in the UK. He describes himself as a sensible nationalist, whatever that means. I'm sure he can tell us that. Putting our people first. Check out their website, which is homelandparty.org. And Kenny, I'm glad to see you back again, first and foremost, and I'm also encouraged to see how the party is evolving in short order. It seems to be gathering a little bit of momentum since the last general election. Number one, how are you? And number two, how is the Homeland Party faring?
Yeah, I'm very good and really, really pleased to see you guys back. It's absolutely terrific. We have actually missed you and loving the new rebranding as well. So yeah, really pleased with that. I'm personally run off my feet. You know, the Homeland Party since we last spoke has almost doubled in size. We've had an incredibly successful conference in Derbyshire that was endorsed by two of the biggest nationalist parties in Europe. National Movement, who's part of the Confederacja Alliance from Poland, sent their international relations officer, and the AfD from Germany also sent one of their young officers across. So that was incredible. That we've only been going since the 31st of January, since we could register a political party, and already we've been recognised by two of the biggest names in Europe. So that's been incredible. We've also done something that hasn't happened in nationalism since the 70s. We had the Identity England, who are the remnants of Generation Identity in the UK, folded up their organisation and came on board with Homeland. We've got nationalist unity happening right here and now, and it's incredible. We're giving a voice. You said, I describe myself as a sensible nationalist. I am. That what we are trying to do is make nationalism normal, and as Manuel Schreiber said at the conference, cool again. We want people to be proud to be a nationalist, and that's what we're about. Sensible language. It's very staunch. We're honest and frank about what we're doing, but we're also sensible. We don't tolerate the idiots and the dafties that have besmirched nationalism for years. And this is resonating with the public and with people in the media as well. We're starting to get some traction. And by goodness, do we need it given what we have in government at the moment?
We do. I can remember the last time you and I spoke, which was probably at the start of September sometime. So the new government had only been in for a while. And I can remember when you were on, and I didn't get a chance to address this when we were on our last time, but somebody had been on moaning about, oh no, not another political party in reference to you being on as a guest. And, you get grumblers on no matter what you do. And I didn't get time to address that at the time. But, people I can understand are jaded by what's going on in the political front at the minute. And there is a huge amount of people out there that are completely despondent and completely disillusioned, that have no faith whatsoever in any democratic process. And I can understand that too. But there is no other alternative at the minute. We'll say, you just don't vote and don't support anybody, don't pay your taxes, don't pay your council tax, rise up in rebellion. That's not going to happen either. That's a fantasy. That's not actually going to happen at the minute. And you guys are, as far as I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, you're operating on a voluntary basis. You've been busting your ass at the grassroots level, going door to door. And in your, as you say, from the 31st of January this year, which is, not even a year, you're not even close to being a year old. You've had a party conference. You've had endorsements from two major nationalist parties within Europe. And that conference, which I think, if my memory is correct, was held on the Saturday, the 20th of September, because you'd actually asked me to pop across that when TNT finished, but I had another engagement on that night. You had some great people there talking. My friend Pete North, I believe, was on there. He was a guest. I have a lot of time for Pete North. And also Steve Laws came on, and he's ruffling feathers like crazy at the minute, but he's nailing his colours to the mast. And it's like, to hell with it. You either love me or you hate me, but he's not compromising his stance, whether you agree with it or not. And that's also seems to be, people want to know where they stand. And with somebody like Steve, who's now a member of the Homeland Party as well. I mean, pretty much what you see is what you get. You're not going to get any back doors with somebody like him. And people just want openness and transparency, even if they don't actually agree with what the party's about. At least they can say, well, we know where these guys stand. We're under no illusion what they're about.
Yeah, we're tearing up the rule book Rick. There's no two ways about it. Somebody you didn't mention, I'm surprised at our conference, was Gareth Falls from the NI People, who you
Yeah,
put me in touch with.
I did.
He wouldn't have
Yeah.
been there without your help. So yeah, we're being open and honest. We're standing up for our people, for our ethnicity. Nobody else is doing it. We've been very honest about that. Our people are second class in our own country, and we've seen a budget yesterday that was pretty much a tax on the worker to pay for the bogus asylum seeker. That's what it completely amounts to. They've done away with the winter fuel allowance, which was a big Labour lie from pre-election. They also lied about not raising employers' NI. They lied about that. They've just been found out lying about Southport. People went to jail for telling the truth. Okay, they did some other few things, but these people are innocent. They shouldn't be. The majority of them innocent shouldn't be in jail for basically pointing out what now has been proved to be right. They absolutely covered up that. If they said things too forcefully, they should have been given, a community payback order, told to go and help the Homeland Party with some of their cleanups and fix communities. But we are doing things very, very different from anybody's ever done before. We had our party element at the start of the conference. Then every speaker after that spoke about positivity, about getting involved in communities and winning at the grassroots. And we also took people like Pete North, who are not members of the party, people like Gareth Falls. And at the time, Steve Laws wasn't actually a member of the party when he spoke, because we wanted to engage everybody to see what they felt sensible nationalism was and how we could use that to win. And the conference, 115 people there, it was a breath of fresh air. And it has probably been the big thing in recent months that has catapulted us to a new audience. They've seen how professional they are. They've seen how positive we are. And they see all the different people we're involving. We are speaking to people who would never have sat down with nationalists in the past, because we now seem accessible. We are the kind of people they can take to their families, who they can speak about in the workplace and not be embarrassed. Because yes, our language is staunch and it's strong, but it is also measured and sensible, and we're actually making a positive impact in people's lives. And for me, that has to be the key thing. All our policies that we're producing at the moment are aimed at what we can do if we get elected district council. But we've also got things like our Treasurer Jerome O'Reilly yesterday published a fantastic response to the budget. Go onto our website, have a look at Jerome's article. We've got a treasurer who's actually an economist. He knows what he's doing. It's a small nationalist party who are actually appointing people in the right positions to do these jobs. We've been open and transparent, and that's the reason why. You said one of your commentators had said, "Oh, not another nationalist party." Well, we're blowing them out of the water. I'm quite happy to blow my own trumpet here on the party's trumpet, because we may have started and created a brand new political party, but we have overtaken the majority of our rivals in just 9 months. We've got more members on board than most of these small parties put together. We're appointing the right people in lots of different areas, lots of different places, and people are recognising that. At the weekend there, we had activity, and I think in 6 different regions. And in one of the regions, in the West Midlands, there was 3 different teams out across the West Midlands. That's incredible. So we are doing things very differently, and if you're serious, if you're politically homeless, very serious, get involved with us, because we are going places.
Yeah, and the fact that, the proof of the pudding's in the eating too. If you are a volunteers party and there's people actually taking time out of their weekends or their evenings and they're going out door to door and they're leafleting, obviously they have a lot of belief in what you guys are doing and they feel as passionately about the party as you do. That's why volunteers do what they do with political parties. We've got to take a very brief headline break. When we come back at the other side, I want to go back onto this term sensible nationalism, because it is something you describe yourself as. So again, let's get some clarity in there. What does a sensible nationalist look like, or how do you define what a sensible nationalist is? Maybe there's some people sitting out there, they're sensible nationalists and they don't even know it, or other people are saying, well, that sounds like something I would like to be part of or be aligned with, possibly. I don't know, but you can give us some clarity on that when we come back after this brief pause here on the Pulse.today. We'll be right back. Okay, Kenny, I was talking with a guest yesterday, I don't know if you know him or not, a chap called Simon Elmer. He's based over in Hong Kong, but he does a lot of writing on this. He's co-founder and head of research at Architects for Social Housing. That would be another good person for you to link up with. Sings very much, you guys are singing very much off the same hymn sheet. But he put up a post today talking about social housing in the UK and percentages and whatnot. And in 2021, 20% of social housing in England had a head of household that was born overseas. So that's what 13 years ago, 1 in 5 houses in the UK had a head of household born overseas. In London, that figure more than doubled to 47.6%, which is crazy. Almost half the households in London had a head of social housing, by the way, had a head of household born overseas. In 2022, sorry, but did I say 13 years ago? My mathematics is terrible. 3 years ago. In 2022, 23% of social housing in London had a head of household who had entered the UK since 2021. So this figure's going up. And you talk about this budget yesterday that was unleashed, and they keep banging on about working people, working people, working people. It's the working people that are going to be hammered hardest to pay for people that aren't working at all in the first place. And so people are understandably hacked off when they look around and they're saying, well, I can't get a dentist appointment, I can't get a doctor, I can't get a kid into school, I can't get a house, social housing, and people are flooding in hand over fist. And hence, I believe, the rise of awareness and support for nationalism at the minute. So all forms of nationalism, people talk about civic nationalists and ethnic nationalists. Now I hear this term, sensible nationalist. Tell me about sensible nationalism. I like the sound of it.
Yeah, well, before I do that, I want to address, the Labour Party and this budget really, because, they talked about this black hole, but can't explain it, where it came from or how it comes. And as I said earlier, they've broken election promises to tax working people. Yet they'll spend more, another 3 billion from Ukraine. They'll spend 6 billion for asylum seekers. That is a complete agenda. No social housing should be given to any migrant. That's a Homeland policy. We have got a cost of living crisis. We've got a housing crisis. And their solution is bring in more migrants. Whoa, is that not going to affect the housing crisis even further? Oh, we'll build more houses. They can't. It's physically impossible. They don't have the money. It is constantly attack on the indigenous people of this country, whether it's in our pockets, in our wages, the cost of living, the cost of housing, not getting a house, not getting a dentist. It is absolutely disgusting. Labour Party do not represent working people anymore. And one of the things that we hope to achieve with sensible nationalism is giving people a choice. Vote for a party that will put you first, will put people first, not international finance, not the economic migrants, but actual people in local areas. So for me, that's sensible. But, to be a sensible nationalist, you have to behave sensibly as well. So you have to be a good, upstanding member of your community. We are passionate about saving our people and supporting our people. So if you're passionate about that, you also have to naturally be passionate about your family, about your community, the wider people around you, because you're not going to have a happy quality life if you live in a terrible neighbourhood. So you have to have some responsibility and duty to the community and the neighbourhood you live in. That's sensible nationalism. So if people want to join the Homeland Party and just be a member, fine. You help finance us with your £36 a year. Great. But we want people to have buy-in. We want people to be proactive, volunteer, help. Eventually, when we get big enough, we'll pay regional organisers, we'll pay branch organisers if we can. But right now, we're volunteer-based. But we want people who are going to work in their local communities. And last night at one of our meetings, that was our complete focus. The strategy for fighting in the local elections in May, identifying not areas, but people. Who's going to be that upstanding, sensible community lead who'll fight passionately for their community, that we will work around, we will build a team around them to help get them elected. It also means getting onto your school boards, applying to become a magistrate. Anywhere there's power or authority, Let's get in there, take that away from the crazies who are absolutely ruining our communities with all this woke, liberal, progressive nonsense that does not put our people first. They consider the views and the feelings of everybody else before our own people. So that's, to me, sensible nationalism is common sense. It's, everybody puts their family before they'll put it before their neighbours. That's natural. That's normal. And it extends out from there until you get to Homeland. And this is the only homeland we've got. We can't invite the world here. I put on my Twitter feed recently, a couple of days ago, an image of the UK sitting on top of the middle of Africa. And it sits within the Congo. It doesn't even go out to the borders of that country. We cannot house the world. It's physically impossible. We are a tiny, tiny island. I believe we have more migrants than any other country in Europe. And when you consider our geography and our population, that's insane. No wonder our people are second class, Rick. No wonder.
We've only got a couple of minutes here, and that statement that you'd also put, sensible nationalism, putting our people first. It's almost something the woke mentality. It's almost something they would want you to be embarrassed about or ashamed about, even to come out with a statement like that. Now, you described it as common sense, which I would agree with. You've got to look after your own people first. You've got to make sure your own people are taken care of and comfortable before you think about extending that out to others. Certainly, if everyone in your area has a job, if everybody's doing well, if there's school places for all, if there's no shortage of doctors, no waiting lists, you can get a dentist and so on and so forth. No massive waiting lists for operations, or no huge waiting lists, 10 years to get a house in social housing. If everybody's comfortable and you've got space and you've got a little bit of capacity, by all means, extend the olive branch out and try and help a few other people if you can. But we're not in that position. We're not even close to that position at the minute. So that's why I'm saying, for me, common sense is you look after your own first. If there's 12,000 people in Ireland, for example, in the Republic of Ireland, who are homeless, 12,000 Irish people who are homeless, then you don't bring in 150,000 people from overseas and say, we'll actually give you modular homes, or we'll put you in hotels and guest houses while Irish families are sitting in hostel type accommodation with shared bathrooms and shared kitchens with strangers. It doesn't make any sense to me. Or you don't bring thousands of people into a village when the doctor's surgery can't see the 350 Indigenous Irish people that are living there and can't get a school places for the kids. It's insanity. But sadly, the country and the world that we're in at the minute embraces insanity as being the new sensibility. And the new sensibility, in my opinion, is insanity. So it's refreshing to hear you talk. We could talk longer, but we're out of time now. So I encourage people to check out your website, which is Homeland Party, all one word, .org. Go and look at their manifesto. Go and see what they're about. Go and see if you can get involved. Maybe you don't like the look of them or you can't stand what they're about. That's cool. Just move on somewhere else. But for the people that are interested, check out homelandparty.org. And also they have a Twitter or X page at Homeland_party, or you can follow Kenny at Kenny Smith HP. HP, I'm hoping, stands for Homeland Party, not Houses of Parliament, but that might be the case somewhere down the line. So in the meantime, Kenny, thank you so very much for taking time out of your day to come on and talk to us. No doubt you'll be keeping us updated with developments in the party as the year progresses, whatever's left of it. So I bid you well. Thank you again. And follow him, check out the party. I'll be back after this short break.